Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our YouTube channel giving you all things language and translation. My name is Keris, and I'm here with three wonderful guests here from Jabai Language Services Limited, located in San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. So, you guys can share a little bit about yourselves, your names, what you do, all of that great things.
Good day, everyone. My name is Tariq Andalce O'Neill. I am a current Year 2 Spanish major student in UB St. Augustine campus and studying marketing as well as a minor. And I have got some of the best grades in my school, Trinity College East, sixth form here in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm studying and pursuing languages as well, not only in university studies, but also studying French at the side.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Torkwasi Pisa. I'm a recent graduate of the University of West Indies, Keyville, where I graduated with second-class honors in a bachelor with French and Spanish. I would have also won certain prizes as a top French student as well as a top language student in humanities, and I currently work as a translator/proofreader here at Jabai Services.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Busby. I have been a translator for over 10 years, and I am currently the founder and managing director of Jabai Language Services Limited. I would have studied my bachelor's and master's degree in France, having studied langue étrangère appliquée in the Université de Tours and juriste linguiste, both in the Université de Tours and Université de Poitiers.
Okay, lovely. I'm really glad that you guys could join us today, and more so the viewers, as we'll be exploring the world of languages, how they shape connections between people and business, and lots more. For those watching, we'll try to ask questions to get a real inside scoop of what it's actually like in this field. So before I begin, do we have any questions from our guest?
No.
Lovely. So let's go straight in. So firstly, from your experience so far, what has been the most surprising insight or lesson about working or studying in the language field?
That's a very good question, first of all. And I think one of the most surprising things that I have learned is to master the basics, fundamentals of a specific language. Whether it is because in my studies I have studied Spanish and French, and then knowing that you have a lot of teachers promoting to study the grammar details and the different intricacies of a language. But from what I learned and from my studies so far, to just master the nouns, common verbs, to just know the basic conversational skills and then build up from there, rather than going into detail and then stemming down into the common phrases where you probably struggling after a while. So what I learned is to really master the essentials of a foreign language.
I would say one of the most interesting things that I learned since starting in this field is how profound the field is and how much potential there is to go and grow in this field. And I say that because growing up learning French and Spanish, because I would have done French and Spanish throughout secondary school and also in university, I feel like the gen population believe that language is a very limited field, and all you can really do is you could teach or you could be a flight attendant. Something that's things that I would have been said to me a lot when I answered the question, well, what you studying, So coming into this field now is really an eye-opener, seeing how far I could go with what I studied and what I love doing, and that has been a really great revelation, I would say.
Happy to hear that. One of the surprising things for me getting started as a translator is how many levels there are to this field, meaning there are quite a few, whether it's agencies or translators themselves, who do not hold themselves to a very high standard in terms of the delivery of the service that they give. One of the reasons I have been able to exist and thrive so long in this space is because I pride myself on having very, very high standards when it comes to the value that we give to clients. And that is exactly what it is we are trying to implement here at Jabai, maintaining a very high standard and delivering excellent service to anyone that we serve.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are some really valuable reflections. It's really the most unexpected lessons that shape our understanding. I guess you all have truly found that there's more detail in language services than it seems, which actually leads me to my second question. In your view, what are some common misconceptions businesses have about the value language service companies bring in any industry?
That's very interesting indeed. I think we here at Shabe Service Limited, we first of all provide value to each and every customer, every client. So we have the top standard for just translation in general. So what I would say from our perspective is that to really bring value, you must pay attention to the details, and then there are different contexts in which we do translation. So let's say legal translation, medical translation. So those differ from country to country because they use different currencies, different terminologies in various areas as well, not only in the country but in different areas. So I think to really provide value and what persons don't really seem to fully grasp is that there's a lot of time and effort put into the small details that could have legal implications when it comes to the lawyers and then persons in that field. So I think that's something that persons try to be or should be aware of.
I think a misconception that a lot of business owners have due to the rapid improvement of AI services and AI technology is the ease in which translation happens. I think because when you use something like Google Translate or even Gen AI, everything happens in a matter of seconds. So they seem to apply that to the entire field and they don't understand the hours that go into the skill, not just our education. It takes years for us to get to this level of being able to do the translation, much less working on a job. The amount of research that we put in, the amount of fine-tuning, we ourselves here at Jabai, we try to hold ourselves to a standard in terms of making sure that everything that we do when we give it back to the client, it is a job well done. So I think with that growth of AI, there's a misconception that this is something very easy and quick, and it could happen in a matter of seconds. And for that reason, I think they undervalue the service that we provide to them.
Very, very well said, Tokwasi. And I just want to go a little further in terms of talking about the misconception when it comes to AI. I think that a lot of non-foreign language speakers believe that it is as simple as using Google Translate or ChatGPT or DeepL to get whether it is their paperwork, whether it is their website translated from one language into another. But what I would ask customers to do is to ask yourself, if you are not a professional in any given language, whether it's French, Spanish, Portuguese, or otherwise, why would you trust your services to a machine or to a robot? Let's use health as an example. How many times do we see people Googling their symptoms, and when you Google your symptoms, ChatGPT basically tells you that you're about to die in a few hours. It doesn't make sense. The logical thing to do is to go and seek a professional, because a professional will be able to properly take the context of your symptoms to be able to diagnose what is wrong with you. The same applies to language. So yes, you could go to ChatGPT. Yes, you could go to Google Translate and translate something, but is it applied to the right context? So to tie in what the both of them were saying, especially for content that is our high standard and what we call high stakes in the industry, something that could potentially affect your brand reputation, it is essential, I would say it is imperative, that you invest in proper professional service in order to get these types of content translated.
Okay, yes, so fantastic point. So yes, language services are far more than just literal translations. So to the viewers, there's a lot of processes that goes into making the flawless, high quality, high standard documents that you want. So for this next question, it may be a bit of a challenge for you. If you, the viewers, didn't know already, everyone here has either visited or studied in countries other than their country of birth, Trinidad and Tobago, including myself. So, my question is, how do you think traveling and interacting with persons of different cultures and linguistic styles has helped your understanding of translation?
I think traveling has had a profound impact on me, not just learning a language, but just different cultural experiences, not to step outside of my comfort zone, Trinidad, and to really go different places. So Venezuela when I was younger, but France when after I studied French, and I went to Paris specifically. And what I understood was that to really have a true understanding of the cultural norms there, of the specific terms that French people use in Paris compared to Marseille and Lyon. And when you're studying a textbook, you don't really have that full knowledge of what takes place in a foreign country because you're really limited to your own surroundings or in a school, you could say that. So I really had to understand something, for example, il est là, and then persons were saying, okay, he is here, but it's really he is there. I picked up on that quite fast actually, which was good for me, and that's just something which I took from that experience traveling abroad.
Okay, so as I would have mentioned previously, I would have attended the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, which in my biased opinion is the most diverse UE campus, right? Go Blackbirds, you know? And there I would have been exposed to a lot of persons from across the Caribbean, but also across the world. We would have had a lot of international students from Europe, from Guadeloupe, Martinique, and that was actually a role that I had as the International Affairs Committee chairperson, helping international and regional students integrate into our campus life, right? And what I would say I learned from spending my years there is how profound language is. I feel like we underestimate how profound language is, not even a foreign language, but even English within itself. Just across the Caribbean, every country has a unique and very diverse dialect. And at first, it's very hard to come to terms with the fact that someone else is speaking English, but it's basically a different language that they're speaking entirely. They have different nuances. We use the same words that mean completely different things. Culturally, the way you say something, it can mean something else. Even an example, the Jamaicans, they say hush, hush now. In Trinidad, hush is telling someone to shut up, so you would immediately take offense, but that's actually a word they use for comforting in terms of if you're having an issue. It's like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be okay. So I think that would have really helped put what I was studying into perspective and basically give me reassurance that yes, language is the way to go. Language is a beautiful thing. It's something that a lot of people don't understand and we take for granted because it's something we come out of the womb understanding, but it's something that's very diverse, and that's why it's important, I believe, as a translator, because we help bridge that gap between persons who have different languages and help communication to happen. And when persons from different backgrounds could communicate, that's the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah, so I think to tie in what the both of them said, it brings me to what I think is one of the key words in our field, which is localization. So localization, in simple terms, is basically when I speak to you, you hear exactly what I intend for you to hear in your own language. And I always share this funny story of my very first week in France. As Tariq had mentioned, what you learn in the textbooks is completely different to what happens in real life. So I was speaking with this young lady, I believe she was from an African country, I can't remember which. And she asked me the question, est-ce que tu sais préparer? Which I translated in my mind literally to mean, do you know how to prepare? So I was confused. I said, préparer quoi? Prepare what? And she was indignant. She was furious. Tu sais pas préparer? You don't know how to prepare? In my mind, you don't know how to prepare? And I responded, préparer quoi? Prepare what? And we kept having this back and forth for about 5 minutes until someone finally explained to me that where she was from, préparer actually meant to cook. So she was asking me if I knew how to cook, but because I did not speak her individual dialect or language or slang, there was a disconnect in communication. I was unable to understand exactly what she was trying to say. So that is what localization is. Localization is when I speak to you, you hear exactly what I intend to say in your own language in a way that makes sense to you. And that is basically the service that we provide, one of localization.
Lovely. Can we just appreciate the beauty of languages? And I will be using that hushna now from now on. Okay. So I have a question that the people really want answers to. Are you all ready? All right. So looking ahead, what innovative approach or unique idea do you think companies like ours could adopt to better serve businesses and individuals in today's global landscape?
In today's global landscape, well, I think we here at Jabe, having young workers, entrepreneurs, persons really willing to step out of the usual traditional Trinidadian stuff. But I think that we would want to step out into more youth gatherings, into more secondary schools, primary schools even, and then having the influx of Spanish speaking persons, immigrants coming here, Venezuela, Cuba, different countries like that. I think we could really step out to kind of venture them and to really pull out people to really understand language, but not as you was talking about earlier, not to really see it as a space where it is limited to just only working abroad, but to work in your own country with foreign companies and to really have an understanding of that, and not to only use it in translation or in some language oriented field, but to use it to add to your own expertise. Let's say you're a musician, or let's say you work in finance. You can then use that Spanish or that French or whatever foreign language to help you and assist you in whatever venture you want.
Okay, my answer is going to be a bit simplistic, but I believe that is very fundamental. Something Jason has been constantly preaching since I've started working here is that we always try to add value to whatever work that we do. And I feel like that's something in the business world that people sometimes lose sight of. You know, obviously you're trying to make a profit, you're trying to get more clients, but I think it's very important to stay true to the vision and the goal that you set out for your business, whatever service it is that you're providing. And at the end of the day, when you provide that service to the client, that you're adding value to it.
All right, I didn't realize I was harping so much on it, but I think my answer is going to be even more basic. AI. I thought one of the two of them were going to say it. Like AI is the new thing. Like, I'm old enough to go through a couple new things. Like, I remember when the computer was the new thing. I remember when the cell phone was the new thing. I remember when the internet was the new thing. I remember when the iPod was the new thing. Like, there have been so many new things. And as time goes on, I'm sure in the next 5-10 years, there will be another new thing that we don't even think of at this particular point in time. The new thing right now, the new thing is AI, although I try to always tell people that in the translation field, the new thing, AI, has actually been around for close to 50 years. But what AI does, it has its benefits. ChatGPT has its benefits. Google Translate has its benefits in the right circumstances. And if we know how to properly leverage these tools as businesses, it actually helps us to be even more productive. It helps us to be even more efficient in what we do. It helps us to I don't want to say get rid of, but it helps us to streamline our work, delegate certain functions, responsibilities, and be able to focus on the most important thing. So one thing I think businesses, especially in the Caribbean, I hope that they lean more into is how to integrate AI into their procedures and practices.
Yeah, so don't be afraid of change. Embrace the new. Really, really, really well said, guys. So, Tariq, Tokwasi, and Jason, thank you so very much for your time. And to the viewers, I hope that this was helpful in any way, shape, or form. Thank you again for watching our YouTube video. Please like and subscribe.
Thank you. Bye.
Adios.